Hello there, today I'm going to be making another video on food forest permaculture backyard orchards in a small garden. So I've been looking at the analytics on my channel, and that first video, or one of the first videos I put up on this subject, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, the views over the last few days have actually gone up relatively high. So very grateful to everybody who has viewed that. And it's a good time of year, to start thinking about this sort of thing, because it's a good time of year to plant trees. Many trees, fruit trees, whatever, are dormant at this time of year. Fruit bushes such as blueberries are also dormant as well, gooseberries, currant bushes. You get the general idea. And bare root trees are generally available at this time of year because the tree is dormant, the tree can be lifted, and the bare root means that the roots, you lift it out the ground, they're bare in the sense of not being confined to a pot, and they're all, all around like this sort of thing. They're nice and loose roots, and it's said that they can really take when it comes to the growing season, starting in the spring. So yes, a very good time. And also, if you purchase trees bare rooted, they can also be cheaper than if you're buying a pot grown tree. So yes, winners all around. So permaculture is such an important principle, and very good actually for those people who don't have massive amounts of time or whatever to dedicate to gardening, or indeed much space. So the best way that I can describe permaculture would be, if you think of when the Romans came to the UK, however long ago it was, a very, very long time ago now, they introduced many things to the UK, and one of those things was chestnuts. The Romans set them to feed the Roman legions. So you think of all them lovely nuts growing up there, falling to the ground, whatever, nutritious, long-lived trees, and if you want to, it's basically a free source of food that you don't really have to do too much to get a good supply of food. Very nutritious in the form of nuts. It doesn't have to be chestnuts, it could be chestnuts, walnuts, hazelnuts. You get the idea. So yes, it's a very important principle, and you could be feeding someone for maybe hundreds of years with regards to whatever it is you're planting. Something like mulberries, which can live for hundreds and hundreds of years, and fruit for hundreds and hundreds of years. This is such an important principle, and it'd be lovely, wouldn't it, to just be able to walk out to your garden or your allotment and go fruit, 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 fruit during the season, and your nuts later on. Absolutely lovely and powerful principle. So I think it really makes sense for people to learn as much about this subject as indeed possible. Okay, so the majority of people that view my channel are aware that I don't have humongous amounts of growing space, but I'm very grateful for what I've got, and what I really like to do is to maximize what I've got, because it doesn't always, just because you don't have acres and acres, doesn't mean you can't have a beautifully productive garden. Okay, so get that out of your head, the first thing, that because you can do a lot with a relatively small space. Okay, now, so this is an apple tree. This is variety Worcester Pearman, and this is a traditional variety of apple for growing in the UK. It's unlikely you'll buy this variety at the supermarket. Okay, you can probably get them at a farmer's market, or maybe indeed at a farm shop if you've got like a local sort of a fruit farm that still grows this variety. Sometimes you can buy James Grieve at a variety called James Grieve at local farm shops, Cox apples, things like that. You can buy Coxes and Russets generally at supermarkets now as well. But very important with regards to varieties such as this, because you can grow varieties for yourself that you can't easily get hold of, and I think that's a really lovely thing to do. Okay, something like a gala apple, which I in fact do quite like. You can very easily get a gala, can't you, from a supermarket, or a Golden Delicious, or Braeburn, Pink Ladies, they're all relatively easy to get hold of. But something like Worcester Pearman, Court Pendu Plat, okay, Stephen Hazer spoke a lot about that, which is believed to be the oldest known apple in cultivation. Okay, really, really research into these beautiful varieties that you can grow for yourself. Okay, that you may not be able to get hold of that easily, but you can have your own tree, and I think that is very, very important. So also with regards to when you are when you're planning your own sort of trees backyard orchard project, you can purchase trees that are largely or more disease resistant than, say, what some modern varieties may well be, because they came about before the advent of sprays and all that sort of thing, and they may be more suitable for growing in your particular area. I know that if you go to certain parts of the West Country, you can get beautiful cider apples and stuff, bred and whatever in that region, propagated in that region to suit that region. You can get something directly suitable to the region where which you live. So if you look around, you can achieve this. In Essex there is a variety called Darcy Spice, okay, and what one could consider an older variety, but it's bred in Essex. You got to James Grieve from Scotland. You understand where I'm coming from with this? So you've seen this before, and this is the Concord pear. Now, I've referred to it many times as the tree that never grows, which I'm glad of, because when you're growing, fruit trees in a relatively small space, you need to research root stocks in terms of the height and size of the eventual tree, because you really do not want subsidence issues, okay? And this just doesn't really grow that much, this tree. So research your root stocks, okay? And this is Concord pear. Now, Concord pear is a cross, if I understand, if I remember correctly, between Comis and conference pears. You will have seen conference pears in the supermarket. They're very commonly grown commercial pear, and it's said that if you're only going to have one pear tree, this could indeed be it, because it's largely self-fertile. It will do better in general if it's got a pollination partner, meaning another pear tree that flowers at the same time. But this could be, if you've just got the room for a little tree like this in your garden or whatever, it could be a very nice little tree to put in. Now, of course, grapevines as well. Grapevines are very good to grow because they propagate easily. I put a video up a week or so ago about propagating grape, currant and gooseberries. Check that one out. This is grown from a cutting, so this will be absolutely lovely this year, hopefully loaded with fruit. And here, a plum tree. This is variety Jubilee. One of the parent varieties of this, I believe, is Victoria, which is traditional UK bred and grown plum. But look at that lovely bit of growth. This is a powerhouse, this tree. I think in about 5 years this tree is going to be amazing. I mean, it's certainly grown quicker than any other tree that I've got here, and I'm very grateful to that. You prune plums after the fruit has set, okay, which can be quite hard to do because you're cutting off fruitlets, but you do not prune a plum tree at this time of year, okay, because you could introduce silverleaf disease, and that probably could destroy your tree. So do not prune plum trees when you prune apples or pears, okay. Apples and pears are known as pomme fruits, okay. So if you think of apple in French, if I remember correctly, is la pomme, yeah. So pomme fruits, apples and pears, yes. So don't prune your plum tree at this time of year. Now, something like blueberries would also come under the subject of permaculture, and you can see that I have got my blueberries here growing in containers of ericaceous growing mediums. So you want to be looking at the correct growing mediums for whatever it is you're growing, okay? Okay, so here we've got raspberries. Now, raspberries would be included in something like permaculture because, once again, they are permanent. Gooseberries as well, or largely permanent, okay. They're not going to be as long-lived as, say, an oak tree or something like that, but you understand where I'm coming from. More gooseberries, you can put those in. They grow very well here in the UK climate. And here we have a currant bush. Now we've got a cherry tree. Okay, cherry trees, lovely to have. This is a minaret, although I'm letting it grow onto a tree, into more of a tree form. Minaret meaning a vertical cordon. Okay, so very important with regards to something like a cherry tree, which traditionally can grow rather large. You don't want to end up with an enormous cherry tree in a small garden because of root issues. And also, do you really want a huge tree if you've only got a smallish garden? So yes, looking very, very healthy, this tree. It's done very well, and I'm expecting it to do even better, all being well. But you will have to net it because you're not the only one who likes to have the cherries. The birds do as well. So you can include something like mulberries. You can include something like tayberries, blackberries, loganberries in this, in the permaculture project. Okay, you can see this one here. I'm expecting a decent crop off of this year. So this is up against the fence here, and I recommend people get into grafting if they are interested. I've got a playlist on it. You can see here, look, this is a apple. You can see the rootstock there. I got the rootstocks off of Stephen Hayes, not the rootstocks, sorry. I got the rootstocks from Blackmore Nursery, a first-rate nursery with which I purchased trees and things from. I got the scions from Stephen Hayes. Check out his site, his YouTube channel, if you're interested. Two varieties on that, Winter King, and also I believe this was Lord Lambourne. Okay, so with regards to permaculture projects, some of you watching this, you might be in rented accommodation, you might still be living somewhere where you're moving out soon, you might be living, you might have a busy job, whatever, which requires you to move from house to house. Now, some of you are thinking, how can I enact permaculture into my gardening if I'm always moving? So I'll show you a little way that you can do this. Now, some of you may be aware of these peach and nectarine trees I've got growing here, at least two of them, here in the polytunnel. So you can see what I've done here, look. I've dug a hole in the ground and sunk the pot into the ground, but you can always just lift that pot out should you decide to move, or whatever. Of course, I've got these in here for avoidance of peach leaf curl, but if you've got something like apples, cherries, plums, pears, or whatever outside, you can bury the pot in the ground partly like this. I mean, you could even bury the whole pot in the ground and then lift it out once a year and keep disturbing it so it doesn't take root. And then you can move, whenever you want really, and take the tree with you. Other options you've got are growing things in containers, such as this pomegranate here, or this persimmon, otherwise known as Sharon fruit. I've got my other Sharon fruit down here, but this one is going in the ground, the Dixie Red. Many of you are well acquainted with that. And of course, you can consider exotics in this if you want. Something like, this blood orange tree, but a bit more work required with regards to frost protection and that sort of thing. Yes, so there's so much that you can consider with regards to your own permaculture project. Yeah, so I've got this grape growing away in a pot here. You can grow grapes in containers as well. So that's a bit of space saving and more portable gardening. And this is another tree that I grafted myself at the back here. This is an apple tree. I didn't write down the variety, which I should have, or I lost it. That's a very foolish thing to do. I'm hoping this is going to produce. It broke a little bit there, but I think I've repaired it. And you can see that just how much growth that this is putting up in a year, or growing season. Okay, so where am I going with all this? I'm basically saying that I've shown you a few things here, okay? You've seen my tea plant down below. I don't need to, show you too much of this. But basically, if you want to, you can create your own permaculture project in a small garden, okay? Backyard orchard. Okay, terms like permaculture and food forest, okay, yeah, they sound good, and to me they are to a degree buzzwords. To me, backyard orchard, really is the term for a lot of this. But these terms have got very popular, and understandably and rightly so, because the principles are so important for your own growing projects. I've shown you a few things. If you want to have a look throughout my channel, you can see ideas that things I've done over the years, other people's channels. There's so many good channels out there. The one that influenced me the most initially, that I've spoke a lot about, is Stephen Hayes. Okay, I mean that. He's got some amazing specimens and varieties of trees, which I, really love. And it's your chance to, do a little bit for your own heritage of apples and growing stuff suitable to where you live. So yeah, very important principle. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Any comments or questions, whatever, please feel free to post them below. And if you wish, you can check me out on Instagram on Dan_Home Gardens. See you in the next video, and spring will not be here, before long. Exciting stuff. Get working on your permaculture project. See you next time.